So last one. This is kind of a quick and easy one, but Philippians 4 verse 13. I have on the screen a picture of Steph Curry's shoes, right? I used to work for Under Armour. I had these exact same shoes, right? Steph Curry. This is not no shade to Steph. This is not no shade to what he believes in or how he's rocking out here, because he's representing the faith as best as he can possibly can. And fun fact about these shoes, they were not they the reason why it only says I can do all things is because the brand would not have let him put I can do all things through Christ on the shoe, because they didn't want to offend anybody. So they shortened it to say I can do all things, but they're missing the most important part, right? But they still try to pay homage in some way, shape, or form. So it's still cool to see that, right? But this famous verse was popularized by a lot of us, but in culture, this verse was popularized via Steph Curry with this Philippians 4:13 on the shoe, right? So verses 10 through 12, it says, but I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that that now at last your care for me has flourished again, though you surely did care, but you lacked opportunity. Not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. And then here comes the kicker. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? So this verse was not saying that you can do literally anything you put your that you can do anything and everything through Christ, right? Though I believe we can do pretty much a lot of things that we could put our minds to, this verse was not for you to put out there into the world like, man, I can do, or to believe that that God is enabling you to do everything, right? We say in the church, like, oh, I can't do this. No, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, right? We use it out of text. If you go back to the first verses in 10, 11, and 12, those verses were in reference to Paul knowing how to suffer need and knowing how to abound and be prosperous and knowing how to be content. So in verse 13, he says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, in reference to knowing how to be abased and how to be abound. It was not to say, oh, those verses are talking about knowing how to be a base and abound. So this right here is saying you can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. No, it was saying that based off of knowing God and knowing, teaching Paul how to be abased and abound and content, and knowing how to suffer need and knowing how to be content and be prosperous at the same time, dealing with those things at the same time, that God empowers you in both of those situations. It was not a way for us to say, I can do everything, right? Because we can't do everything, right? Though Christ empowers us, we can't do everything. And this was not meant for us to do everything, right?